It's coming, folks. So, yeah. So my thought is, well, I mean, I've heard grumblings about it that the new lockdowns will be environmental lockdowns, right? So some of this seems to be accelerating. The weird thing is I'll tell you this, right? So I'll be 52 next month, right? So I've seen these, ups and downs of like, you gotta prepare for the end of the world. Oh, no big deal. You gotta prepare for the collapse of society. Oh, no big deal. You know what I mean? And what I'm seeing now is like 100-fold, or at least, yeah. I mean, it's gone up 100% on the people that are saying you should be prepared. Make sure you buy extra food, water, fuel if you can. I mean, do with that what you may, but it does seem a little different this time. There's all these stories of meat packing plants and egg facilities that ship out eggs and package and all that stuff, and vegetables, and then all these reports of farmers being paid to destroy their crops. And that was last year, right? So fall of last year, you got to think those grain crops, right? Those are like, that's the shit that people would be eating this year. You know what I mean? Like there's always like a steady flow. And now foods are starting to get expensive. And people are like, oh, well, Biden's doing a great job. He gave people 10 grand who can't, and gas prices are coming down. I'm like, so you guys don't watch real news, right? You don't read any articles. Because Saudi Arabia, who had already said and gave the fist bump seen around the world to fucking Biden, right? Joe Biden. They're not only did they not increase the fuel output that was our deal. We give them all the military shit so they can kill all the people around them, and they give us all the oil that we want, right? I mean, they sell us all the oil that we want. So what a deal. But so they're cutting production. So they're already not making enough. So, I mean, in our book, right? As far as we're concerned. And they're cutting production from where they are now. So gas prices came down a little bit. If you notice, right? I know most people only drive gasoline vehicles or they got an electric, whatever. But if you've noticed, diesel prices only went down like a few cents, like maybe 10 cents tops, but now they're up over $5 again, So how do you think we get our food here? We get it through diesel, even trains. Most of the trains are diesel as well. So there's going to be some issues. And so now we have all these sanctions against Russia. Food is cheaper in Russia. Fuel's cheaper in Russia. I remember in the beginning of all this, I was telling everybody, I'm like, Vladimir Putin was up there in front of his people telling them how much grain they had. Like, we got 5 years worth of grain, or whatever it was, like 24 months of grain. We got this many head of cattle. We've got, this amount of diesel, this amount of oil, energy, blah, 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 heating oil, everything. Right? He laid it out in the line for his people because he needed the people to be on his side to support his, the invasion into Ukraine, right? And because he knew sanctions were coming. So he was like, listen, I got your back. We good. Fuck them, right? And I'm not saying, oh, Putin's a wonderful man and all that, whatever. I don't give a fuck about any of these people. What I'm telling you is how it's going to affect you and I. I mean, okay, maybe not even you and I, right? Because, probably not on the level where who's going to feel, I mean, we'll feel some pain, but we're probably not going to feel the same level of pain as people in the social economic status below us or below them. Those are people going to feel it the most, right? So, I don't know. I don't see things the way you guys see things, I guess. I don't, I'm not, I have faith in people, but I don't have faith in our elected officials. Not the ones that have been running the show for the last 40 years, or at least 20. It's been more than that, but so I'm just saying, man, you got to be prepared. Make some plans with people, get to know your neighbors maybe. Join cooperatives. Try to find some, what are they, CSAs, I mean, it's harvest time now, right? So try to get local foods and meats if you can, if you're in a city, I mean, it's going to be rough. But, I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully it's going to be all, rainbows and butterflies, for real. I hope so too. I really do. I mean, I'm doing really well, work's going well, our house, my girl's doing really well. We're all doing good, and to have, this messed up economy and situation happening, isn't ideal. But, we'll roll with the punches. I've rolled through harder, through worse. So, that's where I'm at. I hope people are being prepared. I hope people aren't, that you're looking at what's going on in our government. It doesn't matter whether it's the right or the left running the show. It's the same fucking pile of shit for you to eat. People think because I badmouth Democrats that I'm talking like, oh, you better go for the Republican. No, I don't. Fuck Republicans too. The reason why I don't badmouth them is because I've never expected a damn thing from a Republican. I mean, I got friends who are Republicans. They're chill. Shit, I could count on them. I guarantee you that. Way more than I could, well, whatever. The one thing that I do admire about the right, if there's anything for me to admire, is that they do forgive and accept their people back into the fold. The left doesn't do that. Barely does it do that. You know what I mean? Barely does it. I mean, I hate to generalize, but it seems that a lot of the media that left that we see and the Hollywood for the ugly Washington left, and then the people that you hear out in the streets, you go to some of these rallies or whatever protests and you try to talk with people, even just try to have a discussion or debate, and people will just yell you out. You know what I mean? There's no listening. There's no rationing with somebody who isn't willing to listen to someone else's point of view, I've had to shut the fuck up and listen to other people's point of view. You know what I mean? And at first it was, it's still not easy, but it's easier now because my problem is, and everybody's problem, right? We're always just waiting to respond, right? Instead of actually listening to each other, we're always waiting just to respond. I was talking with a friend the other day and it was tough, man. It was like, trying to say what I'm doing, the things that I'm enjoying in life. And it was just like, one bad thing after another, and this is terrible, and this guy and that guy and this organization and these people and lazy this and lazy that, unhealthy this, it's just like, just complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. I lived in that. I lived in that, and sometimes, don't get me wrong, I can still pity party. I can still do it, right? But like I was saying yesterday about responsibilities, right? Like, I always said, I took full responsibility for my actions. And yes, I'm wearing the same shirt I was wearing yesterday. It's the morning, you know what I mean? I wear the last shirt. Yeah, you'll see. I'll be a new shirt later. But it's like, it's responsibilities. Like, I always said, I've always taken responsibility for my actions, right? As I was saying. But really I was just arrested. So I was forced to take responsibility for my actions, right? Apologies for your actions without changing those actions does nothing for anybody, right? In fact, it just makes people less likely to fucking ever believe you again, you know? And especially, and like most people are like, well, I don't give a fuck what people think. Well, you know, I feel you. You know what I mean? I'm fucking punk rock still to the heart. And, there are people that I care what they think of me. You know, I mean, 2 people right off the bat are my children. You know, I do give a fuck what they think of me, you know? And then goes out from, you know, my girl, and then my, you know, friends, and, you know, on a lesser sense, even my ex-wife. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, you know, we don't really fight anymore or anything like that, which is great. You know, it's just, but like I had to suck up my bullshit, right? Like, and I'm not talking about her, any of that, right? I'm talking about myself, like whether or not I could blame her, like, oh, well, she's always starting to fight. Okay, sure. But I didn't have to go to every fight I was invited to, and I went skipping and singing to every fucking fight I was invited to. You know, whether physical or argumentative or whatever, man. I mean, I do it to this day. You know, I see friends of mine with these bad MSNBC, Dave Pakman, fucking TNT takes, you know, and or TYT, sorry, takes on the news, and I'm like, oof, I'm so sorry to see that. But like, and you know, I'm not trying to fuck with your psyche, but I'm just like, yo, this is what I've read, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm seeing, you know, because when you cut off, like, you know, you can feel how you want about RT and all that shit and different, you know, media sources on YouTube and this and that. And a lot of you don't even use YouTube, which is weird to me. But cable, you watch cable, but you won't use YouTube. Like YouTube, never mind, doesn't fucking matter. But you know, I just don't understand only getting one side of the story for anything, right? Like, why would you only want one side of the story? I want both sides of the story. You know, I want to hear what other people think. You know, people that aren't me, right? People that might think of things differently, right? Might see things differently, right? They have different experiences, so that's beneficial for all of us, really, right? If we can, you know, listen to each other, at least hear each other out and see, you know, I mean, someone might know some shit you don't know. And you're just like, well, you know, I say this all the time, but Malcolm X had a saying, you know, and I know I guess it's weird for a white guy to have black heroes, but I grew up in black community. My stepfather's black, and I mean, some of my best friends are black. That's not what I mean, but you know what I mean? Like, my family's mixed, and you know, I mean, so I had different heroes than a lot of other suburban white kids, right? I grew up in the housing projects and shit, you know. Grew up on welfare. Grew up really bad, you know, but so anyway, yeah, I grew up in the projects. I grew up, you know, whatever. What I'm saying is, you know, I don't know, I got distracted because the guy called on the phone, but I don't know. I have a different point of view, right? And I grew up saying, my heroes, right? So Malcolm X has a saying. I get off topic so quickly and easily. Malcolm X had a saying that went, I just want the truth, no matter who delivers it, right? How can you go wrong with that, right? I only want the truth. I don't care who delivers it, right? I'm sure I'm butchering it a little bit. I'm sure he said it a little more eloquently than I will, right? But yeah, I mean, you know, some of my other heroes, Muhammad Ali was a big hero of mine. Even Mike Tyson, man, especially now. Shit, the way Tyson is, god damn. But you know, I just, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think this might be a rough go for a lot of people, and you know, I really hope that people, instead of shutting down and making enemies of each other, we could come together, you know, and try to help each other, because it might be some hard times that we're gonna go through for a little while, you know, and hard times, you know, we get through them better together, you know. I mean, I'll do it separately, but, you know, I think when we have cooperation and we look out for each other and, you know, our best interests are at each other's, you know, forefront of our minds and our thoughts for our families and our friends and our neighbors, you know, and the world, you know, but I think it's going to be hard times, people. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of stuff, and if it's not, I mean, great. I really, that would be even better, you know. But yeah, it's, you know, people are saying, you know, be prepared. Like, you know, they're not saying anything super crazy, but they're like, hey, buy tampons, buy toilet paper, buy rice, buy beans, pasta. If you don't have a water source, get one, right? Store water. Maybe some instant foods that you only need to boil and, you know, boom, boom, you know, something easy, something nutrient dense and easily stored for long periods of time. I don't know. I hope I get all kinds of prepared and grow a garden next year. I mean, you know, and I never need it. My kids don't need it and all that, right? But it's better to be prepared and then not need it, right? But yeah, whoa, 16. Oh, it's going on 17 minutes now. Ain't no one gonna watch this shit either. I'm gonna post the other freaking 40-minute one I got. See what happens. All right, peace. Have a great day, everybody.